Hey, what's up, guys? It's your girl, Jay Lucci. I am back with another episode of the Park Car Conversation. This is episode number 17. If this is your first time tuning in or you're coming back, the park car is a vulnerable place. You're in a park car with your brethrens, and you always have these deep, deep conversations. Sometimes they're uncomfortable, sometimes they're hard to digest. And today I'm about to have a park car with myself. This is a conversation that I can't believe I'm having. I never wanted to have it. But today, this conversation is going to be on how I watched my grandmother take her last breath and how I'm dealing with grief. I've been in a daze with everything. This is a moment in my life that I was prepped for because my grandmother was obviously older, but this is not something I ever wanted to do. I never wanted to be able to, say goodbye. I never wanted to live a life without her. I really never wanted to have to experience that pain of losing her because I knew it would suck. I knew it would really, really, really suck. And so today I'm just going to dive in to share with you guys what grief has been feeling like for me. And the Parker Conversation is just a place where we talk about things that I want you guys, and that's the most important thing for me. This is the reason why I started this podcast series, is because I just feel that a lot of time we lack meaningful conversations. We lack the ability to get together with people and talk about other things other than gossip or, news, entertainment, sports. Like, let's talk about like how people think. Let's talk about how people are feeling about things. Like, what's their perspective, right? And that's how we grow and evolve in life. And these are conversations that you can have with just about anybody. For those of you who have been following my socials for many years, you guys know that I'm super open with my family, with my friends, with my life, with my child. Like, I've been super open and transparent about a day in the life of me. Like, whether I'm just posting, catching things on my phone, posting them, boom, in the house or out on the road, whatever it may be. And I lost my grandmother recently. It's like when people ask me how I'm doing good. I'm in great spirits. I'm at complete peace about, her timing. She had to go. I think perhaps I'm like, the way I'm dealing with grief is that life seems so busy. Like after she passed away, then there was funeral arrangements, and then, people were at the house, people were always calling you, people are, sending their condolences, and that's warm. And then after the funeral, everything kind of just stops, Life resumes for, everyone else. And then for the people who are like very intimate with this person that you've just lost, like we were in the house together for pretty much my entire life. Now I just have to get used to life without seeing her around. So I think that because I have my son and he keeps me so busy, that I haven't had that moment of just like breakdown. And maybe I'll never have that moment. But if I do have that moment, I will embrace it full-heartedly, because grief is something that's, there's no blueprint on grief. Like, someone asked me in my DMs, how do you deal with grief? And last time I dealt with like a very close grief in my family, which was my grandfather who passed away in 2014. I took it hard, man. Like, I stopped going to school for a month. I was in university. Like, I stopped going. I almost failed all my classes. Like, I had to talk to all my profs and, make extra accommodations to get myself back on track. I was just really down in the dumps. And I think this time around, thankfully, I started to go to the gym. Shout out to my girl, Samantha, for getting me back in the gym. But I've been in the gym every morning, right? 7 a.m. So I feel like if I didn't have that physical push that I'm starting to feel good, I would feel a lot more sluggish, because life has just, this is how life goes. I just want to share some things that I'm thankful for, experiencing my grandmother in such a close way. So my PoPo made sure we were good. That woman made sure me and my sister were good. Her and my grandfather, they put out for us. And when I say that, like, my family, we didn't come from much. And so when like my mom, didn't have a lot to, give me and my sister, my grandfather and my grandma made sure that we never went without. Like they would slip me, some money here and there to go get food. They let us stay at their house our entire lives. They used to bring us to school every day, pick us up. My grandmother used to put me to sleep every day when my mom was out and about. My mom was a hot girl, okay? My mom was a hot foot. I love her to death, and that's where I get my spice from. If you guys think it's my dad, it's really my mom at the core. So, like, to say the least, it's like my grandparents were very involved. My popo was very involved. So it's right now, actually it seems so surreal that I'm speaking about her in the past, and because it's, for me, my popo was a second mother. My popo was somebody who took care of me. My popo was somebody that I spoke to every single day. She was somebody that I saw every single day. She was someone that I knew loved me more than the majority of the people in my life. Like, she had a deep, deep, deep love, and all I can hope and pray for my life moving forward is that I continue to make her proud in the things that I do. So this time around, what I'm really going to do is take my grief and turn it into power, right? Because I want to just share with you the last day that she was alive. Because of COVID restrictions, people weren't allowed to be in the room. So it was just me, my sister, my mom, my uncle, and my aunt that were allowed to be in the room. We made sure we had the video calls going for our entire family. So everyone was like still video called in. But being there with her was an experience that I'm so appreciative that I was there. Um, as much as it sucked to witness somebody like transition from the physical and take their new form and take their eternal rest, um, I'm so thankful that my sister had said, like, listen, you stay overnight. Like, I think it'll be more meaningful and more powerful to you to stay with her. So the entire day, like, we each got our one-on-one time to go in, just to just talk with her. And she had an oxygen mask on that was very tight, like pumping oxygen into her body. Um, and my grandmother, like, she knew that we were prepped for this moment. We had spoken about it. So obviously, having that relation with someone so close, um, that we had to have these conversations over the years, like, when it's her time to go, what would happen after she went. And I think when you're actually faced with that moment, thankfully, like, this is a concept that I'm actually so thankful for. Like, at least at the very least, we knew that it was coming. Like, it wasn't like something that happened tragically, and some people don't get to say goodbye ever. Some people just leave the house in the day and they just never come home, and their TV's still on, and whatever the case is, right? So um having those last few days to just prep, right? In those last moments, man, to say that I was just almost like, at a loss for words, right? Because there's all these things that I wanted to say to her that I've said. She knew how much I loved her. She knew how much I appreciated her. But there's all these things that I wanted to say, and I couldn't get the words out because I was choking up. Like, I didn't want her to see me cry because I didn't want her heart to feel unsettled as she left. I didn't want her to feel as if, like, I was going to be a complete mess. I was so shook because I actually just started breaking down. Like, I'm crying, I'm wiping my eyes. My this hand is on, like, her bed, and all of a sudden I just feel like snatch. Like, I, like, was so shook. Like, she just grabbed my hand, like, found the strength, picked up her hand. This is a woman who's, like, almost, like, I mean, she's dying the same day. Like, she don't have energy like that, she can't, like, it's just mind blowing. And she grabbed my hand and she just, like, rubbed, like, she got her thumb, just was able to, like, rub my hand to console me. After that moment, the strength that she gave me in that moment, the rest of the evening that we had with her, it was just like strength. Like, if that woman didn't give me strength, I don't know what else to describe it. Like, she gave me, like, just the security and the peace in my mind to know that, like, listen, I don't have to be afraid for her. she was ready. Like we would ask her, like, are you ready to go? And she would like shake her head. I would say, okay, like when we take the oxygen mask off, you're gonna have to fight. Are you ready to fight? She would shake her head. We would ask her, like, do you want to keep the mask on? She would say, shake her head, say no. So she knew that she was ready to either like fight, give her body one last try on this earth. And so I was gonna stay overnight, me and my uncle, and that was really special. She was able to, like, tell me, like, whisper certain things to me very soft. Like, it was so special for our family. We got some of it on camera so you can hear her. And for me, it was one of my older cousins that messaged me that said, you know what? I know Popo loved you a lot, and your gift back to her was your son. Because the way this woman loved my child, it was like she said it all the time. Like she was just living at this point because she wanted to see his next steps. Like she wanted to, see him be able to crawl, then to walk, then to talk, right? And one of the last videos I showed her of Z, it was Z sitting in the car, like saying a bunch of words. I was saying a bunch of words and he was like imitating it back, and her eyes like lit up. And then she started to cry. Like my uncle took a tissue and wiped her eyes, like 2 tissues, just like wipe them, wipe them. Like that's what she wanted to see, and she got to see it. She got to say bye to everybody on FaceTime. Like we were like, "Do you hear them?" She would say yes. Seeing my grandmother transition, like I don't actually feel that she felt any pain towards the end. Like I think that gives me comfort. Like being able to see someone's last moments, she wasn't even there. Like that was when she actually passed. It was just her vessel doing its thing. Like her soul, her spirit had already risen from her body. Like I firsthand saw that transition when she went from like cognitive, being able to reply, to just like not there anymore. And so it's interesting. Like I've seen someone's first breath with my son, and I've seen someone's last breath. I had a moment a few days after she passed away where I physically felt sick in my knees. I was like, I could feel it in my knees. I would say I was nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, like the moment I'm born, I have to deal with that no matter what. Like that's something I can't escape. I'm going to have to deal with that. And some people don't get the privilege of having such a peaceful death experience. Some people are actually in a lot of pain and a lot of suffering, right? And so I just said to myself, I was like, listen, went to the shower and I said, listen, I had a one-on-one talk with God. And I said, God, I trust you. And I trust that before it's my time to go, that you will allow my body, my spirit to transpire into the next phase, so that whatever it is my body has to go through in the last moments, I don't feel it. I really don't feel like she's left me. Like I catch myself at nighttime. I teach Z the language that she spoke, which is Hakka. And when I'm, telling him to say in Hakka, like, ngai hao siak ni PoPo, like when he says that, I literally think that her and my grandfather, like whenever I think about them, they're like sitting in a corner of like my room, just tapping in. If she's explaining to him, because he wasn't able to meet him, explaining to him all about my son. And I know that she's like happy. Like I feel actually very warm. I don't feel like she's too far. For me, it's like the end of the era, right? It's like, again, some people won't ever get to won't ever be able to relate to me on this. Some people who experience their grandparents very, very closely, like I have, will. It's like saying goodbye to your parents. For me, it was saying goodbye to my mom. It's saying goodbye to someone who I'm with every day for my entire life. I knew it was happening, and I didn't reach out to a lot of my closest friends at all. The second day after she passed away, when, all the family was at the house, I was very quiet. I stayed in my room. I didn't feel like talking to anyone. And all those things in grief, they're okay, And I'm fortunate that my grandmother lived until 90 years old. Like I can't ask for anything more. I've seen people who have lost their life a lot younger, who weren't able to, leave such a legacy of family and, grandchildren and great grandchildren behind. So to say that I'm appreciative of her entire life is an understatement. There's a lot of you guys. I want to say a lot of you guys, like, that was like so heartwarming, and I'm pretty sure I try to reach out to most of you, and reply just saying, like, the fact that so many of you hit me up to say that over the years you've watched the videos of me and my grandmother, to think that you actually feel like her, and the grief that I was experiencing, you felt a bit of it. That was comforting. That just goes to show, like, the impact that she, and the lifelong lasting impression that she's left is like, she's a monument. She's a monument in my life. So every single day, I just want to continue to honor her. I want to continue to honor the life that she lived. I'm so thankful that so much people have been able to, have a glimpse of who she was, her relationship with my son. Like, that was special to me. What I will say with grief is that people grieve in a bunch of different ways. Make sure you reach out to people who are grieving, because some people have a very hard time, and some people don't know how to deal with things, and some people don't have the support. And depending on who they lose, their world it doesn't feel like they can continue again. It feels suffocating. One thing that stood with me, and I said in both days, is that even though the home that I've known my entire life doesn't feel the same, I know my heart will always be just as full. And so this is one of those things in life that we just got to keep the ball moving. We learn to adapt. This is a time in my life that I never wanted to experience. I never, never, never. Like, who wants to say goodbye? Lucky enough, like, I've been able to love somebody so much that saying goodbye seems so hard, but we did it, and I'm proud of her. I'm really proud of my grandma. My grandma fought real, real hard right down to the end. The way she went out was like gangster, like, whew. I'll share with you one last thing. I don't want to make this too long. This is just about experiencing grief, what my grief looks like. I'm one of those people that, like, I kind of like, and not gory, but I kind of like to know details about, like, how things happen and what were, their final moments like. Like, I'm one of those people. So if you're one of these people, then you could probably appreciate a video like this. And if not, then, that's cool too. Just a different perspective, right? And the last, I noticed that she wasn't breathing as much, and it was just me and my uncle in the room. And I called the nurse and I said, "Listen, I don't know, something's going on, but she doesn't seem like she's breathing how she's supposed to be breathing. Can I call to, get my sister, my mom, my aunt to come?" And in between, she said, "Okay, I'm gonna go find out." In between that time, I called my sister. I was like, "Listen, the nurse has to go find out, but it's time. You gotta come, right?" And for all that my grandma did for me my entire life, the least I could do for her is just be the strong woman that she raised me to be. I said I was, coaching her through it. Like, "Listen, Popo, if these are your last 20 breaths on this earth, give me a good last 20. Breathe with me, I coached her through the last 20. She hung on. My sister, my mom, and my aunt were able to get there. Her oxygen stopped. At 10:48, and her heart didn't stop till 11:05. She got a strong heart. And so my tribute to my grandmother, for, the legacy that she's left, for the love that she's left in my life, for the impression that she's left on our entire family, is that I'm going to just boss up and do the things that I've always wanted to do in life. I'm going to live a full life. God willing, God grant me the ability to continue to see every day that I do, and, live it to the fullest, and, take advantage of the opportunities that I'm given. I'm going to take a chance on myself. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because I don't come from a weak, lineage of blood. That's strength in that woman's blood. Like, the strength that she gave me, like the send off that we were able to give her, and the send off that we were able to watch her take, she left a lot of strength. That's one thing I said. And I just kept saying to her, "I'm proud of you, Po. I'm proud of you. You did a good job, okay?" In those last moments, I was always kept saying to her, I'm like, "I'm proud of you. You're doing a good job. You did a good job. You did a job. You did a good job. It's okay now. It's time to take your rest. Okay, it's time to take your rest. So, I'm at complete peace knowing that my grandmother is resting peacefully. I know that her spirit, her soul was reunited. You know, this physical body, this physical vessel that we have, is just borrowed. Like, just seeing how like cold the body turns so fast, just sitting there like feeling her skin and like gradually, having her feet and her hands and everything just go cold. It's like, it's not a spooky thing. So while we have our physical, and while your physical is in good health, we never take this good health for granted. Never take that for granted, because there's a lot of people out there who don't have good health, and every single day is not certain for them. And there's mothers out there who have sick children, and there's children out there who are without parents, and there's all these type of things. Like, every single day that you're here on this earth, please be thankful that you have life, and please do the best. Like, if you're trying to get somewhere, if you have goals and visions, right? Like, if every single day you sit there and you don't do nothing different, you're not getting a different result. Like, you gotta do something different today. You gotta work towards your goal. Do something today that's gonna help you get to where you're gonna go. Because, like, in the grand scheme, life is so short. I never want to leave my kid. I never want to leave the people that I love. But, when the day comes and I take my rest, I just want, to know that, and the people around me to know that I've lived a good life. And so my grandmother lived a good life, and I'm happy for that. I'm appreciative of that. She's lived a good life. And this was my episode on grief, y'all. I just wanted to share with you guys. God bless. Parker episode 17.